Have you ever wondered how some people craft content that leaves their audience thinking, oh my God, you blew my mind, or that gave me an aha, or I've never thought of it that way? Well, if so, you're in luck, because today I'm going to reveal a tool that you can start using by the end of today that's going to leave your audience feeling like, wow, I have never thought of it that way before. So if that interests you, well, then keep on listening. Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're talking about how to use context in marketing. And I personally haven't heard people talk specifically and directly about how to use context in marketing. And the first half of this episode is going to be breaking down beliefs, reality, things like that. Because once you understand this, then you'll see the power in using different contexts inside of your marketing. Now, the thing I want to start with is by breaking down how reality is formed for individuals. And if you've been a listener to the podcast for a while, you probably understand a lot of this stuff. But for those of you who don't, this could be a very powerful part of the podcast for you. And before I get into the good stuff, I have to break it down. So before we get into this, I want you to understand how the human mind works and how the subconscious works. So the subconscious basically automates things inside of our brain, inside of our lives. What I mean by this is, let's say you get in a fight with your spouse, you will have automated things come up. You'll have automated meanings, you'll have automated thoughts and feelings and emotions. You didn't think about those things. They just appeared. Right now, you're listening to a podcast interview, and you've probably already formed a decision on whether or not it's interesting, whether it's not interesting, whether you like me or you don't like me or whatever. You may have formed some kind of decision or feeling on it without ever thinking about it. What happens is, as we go through life, we start to get indoctrinated into certain things, or we start believing certain things. So if we hear as a kid, our teachers, we had multiple teachers all tell us the same thing because they're an authority in our life, we automatically just believe what they are telling us. Much like our kids likely, or your kids likely, believe a lot of what you say, and because they trust you. And so what happens is the mind automatically starts thinking, okay, this is the way that things are. And what starts to happen is we live our entire life through those experiences, through those teachings, through those automations. And there's nothing we can do about it. Our mind has to make something like 60, I think it was 40 to 60,000 different decisions each and every day. Should I turn right here? Should I not turn right here? Should I put more gas? Should I put on the brake? What should I wear? Should I comb my hair now? But what happens is we start to automate things. So your subconscious will start to automate things in your life, because if you had to consciously make 60,000 decisions a day, it's going to drain so much energy from you, you won't be able to function. So what starts to happen is the subconscious is designed to automate things. Did so-and-so say this? Yes, they're an authority. Let's believe them. Okay, great. That is truth. It's the same type of thing if you, again, get in a fight with a spouse. Your subconscious will automatically tell you how to feel based off of your past experiences. You don't have to think about these things going on inside of your life. Now, I can go deeper with this, but I'm going to leave it there for now. And I want to take it to the next step. When you start to recognize this, it becomes a very powerful, powerful thing, because you start to recognize things going on inside of your life that are causing emotional pain, emotional suffering, turmoil, anxiety, stress. And you literally can look at what caused that to happen, what event happened, what word being said was said that caused me to feel this. and you get to change it. You get to choose the meaning you give things. I first learned this concept when I went to the Landmark Forum, and they described it in this way, that humans are meaning-making machines, that everything that goes on in life is actually meaningless, and we make it meaningful. Again, what I mean by that is right now, the only thing that is true is I'm speaking into a microphone and I'm looking at a camera. That's true. Like, no one's going to look at what's going on right now and say that that's not true. That is true. But if I had 100 people in this garage with me right now, there would be 100 different interpretations of what's going on. Some people may think, well, what Brandon's saying is really smart, or I've already heard this before, or he's just repeating information, or this is mind-blowing. The thing is those 100 people that would be in this room with me, most of them wouldn't consciously think of what is going on right now. The mind, the subconscious mind, will automatically tell you. You will feel it. And what's happening is you in that moment are giving it meaning. Brandon looking into the camera, saying words and talking on a microphone means, wow, this is mind-blowing, means, wow, this is boring, means X, Y, and Z. And we go through our entire life, giving meaning to every single event that we encounter every single day. And sometimes the subconscious mind will give things meaning that can cause us emotional pain and turmoil and stuff like that. And if you're aware of that, if you're conscious of it, you can actually start to change it. For example, if you were in this room with me and your subconscious mind automatically implanted in your head, Brandon speaking in the microphone, looking at the camera, means that he's boring because he's saying something that you already know. And you go, wait, whoa. Why am I thinking that? Let me shift my perspective on this. Let me give it a different meaning. And the meaning I'm going to give it now is maybe there's an angle Brandon's about to say that I haven't heard before. I need to pay attention more. You gave it a completely different meaning. Another example is if, you're sitting on the couch because you just got done working a really hard day, and you actually, did a couple chores that maybe your wife or husband doesn't know about, and you're just tired. And they come in and say, oh my gosh, you're so lazy. I can't believe you are sitting on the couch. Nothing is going on. The only thing that's happening is your wife or your husband came in and said words to you. Your mind will automatically go into like defense mode or acceptance mode or whatever. There's a meaning that you give it. And if you look at that and go, my spouse doesn't appreciate me, that's a really bad meaning to attach or place to live. So you could look in that moment and go, what's a better perspective or meaning that I can give this event? Well, maybe it's that my wife doesn't realize or my husband doesn't realize that I did these things. Or maybe it is that my wife and husband really just want a clean house and that's important to them. So let me do something that's important to them. Or whatever it is, you get to choose whatever meaning you want through life. Now, the reason why this is so important is because when our subconscious runs amok, runs wild, and is continuing to just go crazy, just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and we don't stop it, whatever our subconscious creates or puts out there is literally our reality. It is how we perceive the world. And that's why reality really is an individual journey, because no two people will go through life and have the exact same interpretations and meanings attached to certain events. I mean, I could go to a concert with my wife and we can experience the same event and come out of that event with two completely different meanings. And we will both be living our life and our reality at whatever meaning we created. I may have thought that it was a waste of time and money, the concert, and she may have thought it was the most beautiful and enjoyable thing because she got to spend time with me. We both experienced the same event, but had two completely different meanings, and we're both living in two completely different realities. One is, this is a waste of time, and the other one is filled with love of, oh my God, I got to connect with my husband. This wasn't about the concert at all. And for me, when I live in suffering, when I live in negativity, when I live in pessimism, I start to look at what meaning and perspective did my subconscious give me, and how do I change it? How do I alter it to be more powerful, to be more positive, to be more optimistic, to serve me better. And a lot of people don't do that. Now, this concept can change your life. I mean, it can literally shift your reality. It can change the way you see the world, the way you experience your spouse, the way you experience your team, your friends, your students. But there's a reason why I bring this up. When you understand this concept and you start to put it in action inside of your life, you have a knowing of how to shift your own perspective. You have a knowing of how to shift and change someone's reality. You did it for yourself. The most powerful marketing out there is the one that shifts your audience's perspective or changes their reality. A reality that they were suffering from to a reality that empowers them. But you have to understand this concept. You have to understand this concept that we attach meaning and perspective to everything that goes on inside of our life. And most of it is happening on the subconscious level. Because if it's happening for you, it means it's happening for your audience. This is why our messaging is so powerful, because I'm able to communicate to the reality that our audience has and shift them to a better and more impactful and empowering and optimistic reality. So the question is how do we do that? Well, we use tools like thought reversals and we context switch, which is what I'm going to talk to you about today. Now that we covered that, and we understand how humans form their version of reality and that it's subconsciously driven and the subconscious will make decisions off of our past experiences, what we've been told is right, what we've been told is wrong. I want to now talk about the difference between subconscious and conscious. So when we look at a lot of these things going on, subconscious is what I call automated. Subconscious is an automated program that's going to be running in your mind, but it's also running inside of your audience's mind as well. Now, the conscious mind is when we are aware. So what starts to happen, and what I'm hoping happens for you today, is that you are now more aware of your subconscious running automatically in your mind. And I'm trying to make you conscious of your subconscious mind. And what this is going to do is hopefully allow you to be able to shift your perspective to something better, more empowering, makes you happier than the stuff that brings you down into the mud. So just to recap, subconscious is automated. Conscious means you are aware. You're aware of these things going on. Becoming more aware inside of your life is the key to improving your life, improving your messaging, improving your marketing. So how do we become more aware? Well, the first step is to really look at any negative thought you have, when you have anxiety, when you have fear, when you're in a state that you don't like being in. Look at what meaning or attachment or perspective did your subconscious put on that made you feel this way. And then make yourself conscious that that thing is going on, because you can't change things that you're not aware of. So a couple of ways to do this is just be present in the moment. Be very present as to what is going on. For me, this really comes through in parenting. I have a lot of subconscious automated behaviors that come out when my kids are going crazy or not listening. And as a parent, I've been working really hard at being conscious of those things, when they happen, why it's happening, shifting my perspective. And it allows me to address the situation differently. For example, if my son doesn't want to go clean his room, I've asked him 5 times and he just ignores me and walks outside. My subconscious, my automated behavior is to go get him, yell at him, grab him in his room, threaten to put him in timeout or something like that. That is a subconscious thing that just automatically happens. That's what I automatically feel. But because I'm aware that that's a subconscious thing, when I feel that coming up, my awareness goes to, okay, this is your subconscious thing. I become conscious of it in that moment. And what it allows me to do is assess that moment. It allows me to assess and stop the automated subconscious pattern and assess what is a better way to do this. How do I communicate to him better? How do I understand what he's going through better? How do I understand what his thoughts are, what his feelings are? And when I collect that data, I can make a much better decision on how to get him to go clean his room. That is going from subconscious automation to conscious and aware. It can shift everything for you. Now, I intentionally use the example with my son because it's the exact same thing with your audience. It's the exact same thing with the people you're trying to reach. This is how we improve your marketing and your messaging. Much like how I would assess the situation to better understand my son, to now better communicate to him to get him to do what I need him to do, you have to do the same thing to your audience. Instead of preaching to your audience, coming down on your audience, telling them what's right, telling them what's wrong, this is about understanding and being conscious and aware of what they believe, what they think is right, what they're struggling with, what they're doing, and then asking yourselves those questions of how do I get them out of that? How do I shift their perspective? How do I give them a different meaning? How do I give them a different reality? Most people never take the time to go to the conscious side of everything. I want you to be conscious and aware of what's going on inside of your audience. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they doing? And how do you start there? How do you meet them at that spot? Most people, and most of you, I'm assuming most of you, are the same thing or doing the same thing as going and automatically yelling at your kid to get him to go clean the room versus assessing the situation, better understanding what they're feeling, what they're doing, why they might not be listening, and completely alter, in a positive way, the entire situation. So this concept works in both marketing and your life. I'm telling you right now, if you understand that the subconscious is automating so much of your behaviors and your reactions and your things and really creating the majority of your reality, how you perceive the world, if you understand that and you start to become very conscious and aware of the things you don't like, it will shift everything. It'll make you a better human. It'll make you a better parent. It'll make you happier. Awareness is the key to everything. This is about awareness. Going from subconscious to conscious. This is about becoming more conscious, becoming more aware. Now, when it comes to messaging and marketing, the thing I tell people all the time is you guys just have to take action. You really just need to take action. The action comes in the clarity. What I tell people all the time is that the silence gives you the downloads. The silence gives you the direction. Silence speaks louder than words. It really gives you that direction. It gives you the ideas, but the action gives you the clarity. And really what action does is it gives you more awareness. So when we are trying to determine your messaging, figure out your messaging, what is going to connect with someone? What is the reality of my audience? We have to start taking action on a lot of these things. We have to start taking action, and that will bring you the clarity and the awareness. You have to be able to master this yourself. And you have to be able to master this concept yourself. So the first step, the first part, and by the way, guys, I still haven't gotten to the context thing yet. I'm still at the setting the foundation for this episode. But you need to be able to master this yourself. This is why action is so it brings so much clarity. It's very easy to listen to this podcast and go, oh, Brandon, I understand this concept. It makes so much sense. Wow, it's mind-blowing, or this is super helpful, or whatever. It's very easy to listen to this episode and go that, wow, what a great concept. I'm going to try to go implement this into my marketing. But I'm going to tell you right now, until you can master this idea of shifting perspective or attaching a different meaning to events going on in your life, you're not going to be able to do it for your audience at the level you need to be able to do it. And the reason why is because when you start to do this inside of your life, you really start to see how much of your reality is literally created by your subconscious. And then you start to see how and what needs to be said and done to move yourself out of that spot, The action will bring the clarity. The action will give you more awareness. Now, that's the first step. That's what you all need to start doing now. If you really want to be a master of your messaging, a master of shifting perspective. Now, if you understand this, if you understand this concept, you'll start to realize that your niche, your audience, the people that you want to go after, your clientele, they all have automations in their life. And if you can recognize those automations, you can stop those automations. You can end that suffering inside of their life. Let me give you a couple examples so this makes sense. For me, I know that one of the automations that a lot of people have running inside of their head is that how-to content and tutorial-based content is the best way to grow an audience online. Giving away your best stuff for free is the best way to grow an audience online. Giving your best stuff away for free is how to build the know, like, and trust. I know that's an automation that a lot of our industry has running in their head. Why? Because that is what 99% of the gurus out there and the experts are telling you to do. That's been the advice for the last 10 years. So if you come into the online marketing space and you see all of these authorities, all of these teachers, all these people that you trust telling you this advice, the subconscious mind will automatically go, that's the way it is. That is my reality. I'm going to live in a reality where more information, giving my best stuff away for free, is how to build trust. I'm just going to assume that's right. The subconscious mind goes, great. We heard it 50,000 times from 10 different people. Let's automate that so that we can save some energy. Let's automate that. Now, what happens is the audience, my audience, goes out there each and every day thinking, not even thinking, subconsciously driven to go do more and more tutorials, giving their best stuff away for free because the subconscious mind has automated in their head, this is the way to do it. They are totally unconscious or unaware of the problem that's creating inside of their life. One of the reasons why we grew as fast as we did is because I've done a very good job, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back here, but I've done a very good job bringing people's awareness to a place where they go, oh my God, that is not true anymore. That is not correct. And I hope what you're seeing here, I hope you're seeing the pattern. What I'm really doing is I'm taking people from one reality that's causing them suffering to a reality that's giving them empowerment, that's fixing something. I'm shifting their reality. I'm shifting their perspective. I'm bringing them from unconscious to conscious. I'm bringing them from automation to awareness. When I look at marketing, I don't look at what I'm doing as something that's disruptive or polarizing, although you could classify it as that. The way I look at that is I'm looking at this as what is unconsciously or subconsciously going on inside of my space that people just have automated and running on autopilot that they haven't snapped out of yet. And what automation is causing them the most amount of suffering or problems. And then I ask myself, how do I stop that automation for them and take them from subconscious and unconscious to conscious and aware? How do I shift their reality? How can I, and this is a question for you, how can you bring more awareness to your audience? A very simple question, but a very powerful one. How do you bring more awareness to your audience? And obviously the first part of that is looking at what is automated inside of their heads. Look at what your competitors, look at what the last 10 of your competitors are all teaching and saying that you don't think is correct or the best way anymore. What's keeping them stuck? And this could be limiting beliefs. This could be industry norms. This could be so many things. But what have they automatically just assumed is the right way, the best way, that you can make them aware of is maybe, hey, this isn't the best way anymore. And a lot of the ways in which this plays out, a lot of the ways in which people get stuck in this loop, a lot of the ways in which this really plays out in people's lives will start by either one experience or what authorities tell them. So start to look at what are 10 other competitors all saying that people assume is true, or what experiences does your audience have, or most of them have, that lead them to a certain belief or automation. Okay. It's your job to wake them up. It's your job to wake them up to everything going on. Now, there's a couple ways to snap them out of this. And another way that, let me add one more thing here. Another way this plays out is people tend to be very surface level. So if you look at your competitors and you think, oh man, that's such a surface level answer, that's probably a good indicator that there's an automation that you can go help or improve. Man, there must have been an accident or something. Can you hear that? The podcast? Well, this is one of the joys of recording at home is we can hear all the city sounds, but, so I apologize for those of you guys who can hear the sirens, but we're going to roll with it anyways. So what I was saying is when we remain very surface level, or you look at your competitors and go, wow, that's very surface level, that's probably a good indicator that there's something that you can improve on or alter their perspective on. And I'll just give you an example. So when people tell me, give away your best stuff for free because that's going to gain people's trust, what I do is I look at that and go, that's so surface level. That isn't how trust is actually formed. Trust is not formed by giving out information. In fact, I trust a lot of people that have never given me more information on certain things because trust isn't built on giving information. There's deeper psychological things going on that allow trust to be built. So when I look at that and go, wow, information equals trust. That's very surface level, but people just believe it. It doesn't make logical sense. Why would giving more information build trust? That makes no logical sense at all. And the thing is a lot of these beliefs and automations aren't logical. The subconscious just takes hold of it and we never question it. And we never think about it. So when I look at that, I go, okay, cool. People think that information equals trust. I'm going to go deeper with this. And when I go deeper with this, I'm going to take someone from unconscious to conscious. I'm going to take them from automation to aware. And there's a couple of ways we could do that. And so this is what I want to talk about. This is what I call context in marketing. If we can use different contexts, we identified the belief, we identified the automated subconscious thing that people have going on inside of their head. We identify what that belief is. We identify what it is. The thing is, we have to understand that that likely didn't form because of logic. They didn't logically sit down and go, does this make sense? No, the subconscious mind took hold of it, automated it in their head, and we never questioned it. Okay? This is why critical thinking is so important. This is why being able to think for yourself, to question things, become more aware, and wake up is so freaking important because it stops the automations in your head. This is why like news and media and all this stuff are so powerful, because if you hear the same thing over and over and over and over again, the subconscious mind automatically starts to believe it. This is why we need to wake up and become more critically, or become a better critical thinker. Stop believing everything we say, because the subconscious mind will start to automate it in your head. And if it's a automation that causes suffering, well, then you're going to live in that suffering for a really long time. So once you identify these things inside of your head, once you start to, your audience's head, once you start to identify what these automations are and the subconscious driven things inside of your audience's head, you start to look at them. I want you to start thinking about what is the belief that they have. What is the belief? What is that automation, that subconscious automation in their head? And how do I apply that belief in a different context that gets them to realize how flawed it actually is? This is probably one of the most underutilized but powerful tools that I see in messaging and marketing used all over the place. What is the belief? What is the automation that my audience or clients believe to be true, that if applied to a different context wouldn't make any sense? So let me give you an example. If my audience or my client believed that working hard guaranteed success, I would then look at, okay, this belief or this automation, they've heard 50,000 different gurus say, hustle until your eyeballs bleed, hustle. If you want to be successful, you got to work. So I know that their automation, their subconscious mind automated that in their head. So they're living in this reality where working really hard means they're going to be successful. I have to ask myself, how does this apply in a different context? And I ask myself, where does working hard not equal results? And I would say things like, well, if we work out 24/7, 7 days a week, we're not going to get stronger and healthier. We're actually probably going to like rip a muscle or become less healthy. We're going to be putting ourselves in danger. And so I'm like, okay, cool. This idea of working hard equals more results doesn't apply to the gym and with health. Okay. Same thing with studying. If I wanted to go ace a test, is studying more and more and more and more until I'm so tired and studying 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is that really going to make me do better on the test? No. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for the belief, I'm looking for the reality, the subconscious automation that my audience has, which is working hard equals success. And I'm taking that belief and automation and I'm applying it to different contexts. So this is how we start to use it. You can do a piece of content, or in a podcast episode, you would just say something to them that starts off like this. Hey guys, let me ask you a question. If you wanted to get stronger and healthier, would you work out in the gym 24/7, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? No. Why not? Because you're likely going to rip a muscle and become less healthy by doing that. Now let me ask you this. If you wanted to study for an exam, and it's a really important test and you wanted to ace it, would you study 24 hours a day or even 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and expect to pass that exam? Probably not, because you're going to get burnout. You're going to stop becoming effective. You're not going to remember everything, and you're going to be way too tired. So why would you do the same thing when you work inside of your business? And so many of you guys do that. If you continue to work inside of your business over and over and over and hustle, you're going to suffer the same consequences you would if you're working out in the gym or you're trying to study for a test. It's the same concept. But what do really healthy people do and people that ace tests do? They study smarter. They're more intentional. They work out smarter. They're more intentional in the lifts and the workouts that they do. And they get to see the results. So wouldn't it make sense for you to do the same thing inside of your business? Now, what I just did is I took a belief or an automation that someone has and I applied it to two different contexts or situations that show how that belief is flawed, how that automation is flawed. And what I'm really doing, if we want to go beneath the surface, what I'm really doing is I'm taking them from subconscious and automated to conscious and aware. They are now conscious and aware that that automation is flawed. I'm getting them to think critically. The thing is we take on these beliefs and we take on these automations, not through logic, but through the subconscious automation. What I'm forcing them to do is I'm forcing them to logically look at this thing they have running on inside of their brain. Now, this is a very powerful tool if you're a coach, but it's a really powerful tool if you're trying to adjust your marketing and adjust your messaging. So let me give you another one. Let's go here. Let's do this one. One of the things that I talk about all the time is how more information and tutorials aren't the best type of content if you want to be a thought leader or get traction. So what I would say what I would do is look at the space and go, okay, great. One of the automations that are going on inside of my audience's head and in their reality is that more information equals more success or more eyeballs or more audience. So I would say, where in life is giving out more information not going to get the results people want? And I would say, well, encyclopedias give out a ton of information, but they're never topping the charts of the bestseller list, right? They're never on the top, like New York best times seller list, whatever. And the same thing with TED Talks. TED Talks give out a lot of great information, but never in the tutorial format. So those are two different contexts or situations where that belief is flawed. So I would start the conversation like this. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen an encyclopedia at the top of New York Times bestseller list or any best-selling list at all? And let me ask you another question. Have you ever seen someone deliver a really powerful TED Talk and they just got up there and gave you a tutorial, step 1, step 2, step 3? No. So If the best-selling books in the world that are giving out great information and the best presentations like TED Talks are giving out information, but are never, ever in a tutorial step-by-step format, then why are you still doing content in the tutorial and step-by-step format? It doesn't make any sense. And now what I just did in a couple of sentences is I took an automated belief that they have inside of their head and I made them aware of how illogical it actually is. I took the belief and applied it to two different contexts and just asked two really powerful questions and laid out two really powerful situations that got them to wake up. It got them to think critically. It got them to look at this logically, because the subconscious mind does not work logically. Okay, so let's do one more. If I knew there was an automation going on inside of my audience's head, like they're thinking, oh, I can do this without buying Brandon's course. Here's what I would do. I would probably start off saying, would you look at a picture on a box of Legos and then try to build the entire thing without following the map? No, of course not. That would take you forever and you may never do it. And let me ask you this. Would you ever expect someone to come into your webinar and not buy your course and be able to figure out how to do it on their own in the same amount of time they would inside your program? No. So why are you doing the same thing by not getting into our program? Why do you still continue to think that you'll be able to do this on your own in the same time frame by not getting into the program? That's the same thing as trying to build Legos by looking at the picture in the box. You wouldn't do that. And so what I did is I took one belief and I applied it into two different contexts. Again, what this really is doing is it's shifting people's reality, it's shifting their perspective, but it's getting them to go from unaware to aware, getting them to go from illogical to logical. Because again, automation, the subconscious mind does not think logically, does not come up with decisions logically, does not attach meaning logically. There's a ton of unconscious, automated, subconscious patterns and things running in your head that your subconscious has automated in order to save energy. And by understanding this concept, you can change your life and you can change your marketing and your messaging. So here's my challenge to you guys. I want you to try this out. This could be a social media post. It doesn't even have to be a video. This could be a caption on a social media post. This could be text on an image that you post on Instagram. But try this concept out and let me know how it goes. I promise you this. If you can properly identify a belief or pattern that the majority of your audience is unaware of, and you make them aware of it using different contexts, it'll be incredibly powerful. And you'll likely be left with responses like, you blew my mind. I never thought of it that way. I never realized that. I had an aha moment. And if you've never had anyone tell you those things before, it's because of the way you're communicating. It's this idea of taking people from unconscious to conscious. It's taking people from automated to aware. It's all about waking people up, getting them to think about things logically. So go ahead, try it out, and let me know how it goes by tagging me in a post at I am Brandon Lucero. I would love to check out how you're doing it and how it's going for you. So with that said, if you have not left us a review on iTunes, I'd be so grateful for one. So just head over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. And thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.